What are the top tools for business owners, media buyers, and content creators? I recently asked this question on my Twitter, so now I want to share with you the tools that have made my life as a senior director of performance creative and a content creator a whole lot easier. The first one, which many people also mentioned on Twitter, is Notion. Now, I do not view Notion as a can do, will do everything type of tool. Like, I don't like using it for project management, even though I've tried before in the past. I actually have a YouTube board that I routinely use to track that project, but I'm gonna be moving over to another tool, which I prefer soon. But the way that I do use Notion is I like to use it for databases as well as maintaining processes or details of those processes. So instead of tracking our influencers and creators in a Excel document, for instance, or a Google Sheets document, I actually like to track it in Notion. I find that functionality to be way easier. And I also find that keeping details of certain processes, like how to source creators or how to tap into certain creative resources at Thesis, that tends to all be inside of Notion. And I really like having those type of things to refer to using that type of platform. I am curious though, how do you guys use Notion? Be sure to leave a comment below because I always think it's really interesting to learn how people are using these tools so differently or similarly. And the next one is Slack. If you've been watching my channel for the last few months, then you will know every once in a while when I am doing these videos, I will get a Slack notification. I actually think that a lot of times Slack is where real work goes to die. A lot of times I have felt like in the past at other agencies, like, oh, I feel like I just actually work on Slack. But Slack is actually a great communication tool. The way that I like to use Slack, particularly at Thesis, is we have an internal client channel where we can talk about things regarding the client without the client seeing it, and an external client channel so that we can have comms directly with our clients. It's way easier than email. I know some freelancers and some agencies really prefer email. I do not. I very publicly am bad at email. So that's why I really like using Slack in that regard. I also divide my channels into certain categories, and this has been a massive unlock for me in terms of being able to prioritize work. And the way that I actually do it is I make sure to prioritize all external communication. So if a client pings me, I know that that's something I want to get to as soon as possible. But if it's something in the internal or general or fun channel, I know that that's something that I can deprioritize. Another hack for using Slack is I really like to send reminders to myself to remind myself to look at certain messages or make an action on a certain message. Oftentimes I'm scheduling these just a few hours in advance or maybe the next day or whatever. I also really like to schedule messages to people in advance as well so that if I'm doing something late at night, I'm not pinging people late at night. They actually just get that message first thing in the morning. Those are like my very quick Slack hacks. Oh my God, it hurt me. Oh, number 3, project management. So I'm gonna come right out and say that we use Asana at Thesis for tracking our projects, and I don't like it. What I do like, however, is Trello, and I have been using this more in my personal business, and this is something that I've actually seen a lot of other agencies and brands use for maintaining their creative process. And I just think the functionality is a lot simpler, and it's also a lot more user-friendly, specifically for creatives. I find that Asana is probably better for like content writers as well as engineers. I don't know, fight me on that one. And like I said, I've also tried using Notion for this. I just don't really like that functionality. And yes, I know I can go from the database view or table view to the board view, and it's pretty much the same thing. It's just not like, I just don't really like it. I get way more satisfaction and like UX happiness from using Trello. Number 4, my favorite tool for 2022, you've heard it here, folks, is Foreplay. And before you're like, what did she just say? Foreplay, previously known as Addison, is how I keep track of my clients' competitors' ads or ad inspiration. If you've ever gone through the struggle of sending a client or an internal team member a link out to the ads library, and then that ad was taken down so you no longer have it, Foreplay makes that problem completely obsolete now because it actually maintains that ad inspo forever. And the way that I like to use Foreplay is I like to create different boards for different clients and different inspo. I also have my own board board for YouTube. So every time I am posting videos here, I actually just save those, send it to my editor. Hey, Miguel. I also have a board for ads that I star in because I also make a lot of content for people. I also like to make sure I'm tracking those for my own portfolio. The next one is kind of an obvious one, but it's not a popular one that I've seen people reference just because I think there's a little bit of heat about it, which is Calendly. People that have worked with me know that like I don't like doing the dance of, hey, what time are you available? Send me some times to me, blah, blah, blah. No, that's a big waste of time for all of us. Here's my availability, here's my calendar, just put a time there and I will show up. I'm someone that lives and dies by my Google Calendar. If you put me in a meeting at a certain time, I promise I will be there. But like the whole back and forth, it's just like a waste of time. I've also started scheduling consulting calls with Calendly using Stripe, which has been a big time saver for me. I am really bad at like invoicing people or invoicing brands that I'm working with for my personal business. So just having that paywall directly integrated there has saved me a whole lot of time and stress. So that's honestly one of my bigger, better workflows for 2023. Next up is Motion. Now, Motion has already sponsored a video for the channel this year, and they're essentially a creative analytics tool, and I love it because it automates all of the creative reporting that's super important to my team. So anything from top performing ads to ads that have the best hooks to the best holds to looking at creator breakdown analysis to looking at creative format analysis. All of this stuff is completely automated, and I found that my creative teams really like how user-friendly it is. I also like to create custom reports for things like messaging, for things like video editors, all that kind of stuff. So like that platform, I like could not live without it as a creator and as someone who's on Facebook ads. And I am very comfortable with Ads Manager, and I can do all the filters, I can do all the things, but being able to see the graphs and visualize different types of data in ways that actually just like make more sense in my brain is way better. I'm just not really a spreadsheets gal. Being able to have like an alternative way to like dissect different parts of creative analytics and creative strategy has been a huge unlock for me, and also really good for my team, because I found it really hard to train people up on Ads Manager specifically, especially if they're visual people. So if you have a team where you're struggling to get them to go inside of Ads Manager, I would highly recommend trying out Motion. By the way, I'm going to be having links out to many of these brands that I'm mentioning today. I do have affiliate links for both Foreplay and Motion and a few others. So if you're interested in trying these out, be sure to sign up with the codes. Generally, I have some sort of offer with them. I will get a kickback from those. But again, I am actually using these tools in real life. I would never ever try to sell you guys something that I actually wasn't using in my day-to-day. The next one is just a throwaway, but like, to be honest, for all of my file storage and for all of my like documents and like sheets when I have to do them, like I do use Google Drive. I've heard of some brands and companies using other things, so I thought I would just point out that like she uses Google Suite. Ooh, the next one is something that I've been using for a while, but I love it, and it's CatCut. CatCut is what I use to edit all of my UGC videos. And what's really cool is CatCut now has a desktop version. So if you've ever wanted to make like TikTok style content without using TikTok, CatCut is actually owned by ByteDance, who owns TikTok. I actually direct a lot of my video editors at Thesis to use it when creating things like green screen ads or using TikTok text. That stuff is way easier in CatCut. It's just so simple, and that's generally what I like to use. So I have it on my desktop. I even have it on my phone. One of my like favorite things to do when I get on an airplane ride is like to edit some TikToks, edit some ads right on CapCut. It's way easier than Final Cut Pro or Premiere Pro. And I actually do use Premiere Pro to edit these videos or to edit other types of content, but I've almost entirely shifted to CapCut. Also, it's free, so way to go, CatCut. And next up is Varos, who actually sponsored a video 2 weeks ago. Varos is a benchmarking tool. So Varos essentially enables you to look at different metrics in your industry so that you can compare where you are to your competitors in theory. And you can look at things like your Facebook spend and see what the average spend is for other people in your industry. You can look at cost per purchase, CPMs, click-through rates. This has really unlocked the what does Facebook and Instagram and TikTok look like for other brands. I actually generate a report every single month for my creative clients that goes into, hey, this is what CPMs look like in your industry, click-through rates, this is what amount spent look like, this is what your cost per purchases are dealing with. And we are able to track trends, especially when there are like Facebook-wide bugs happening. Honestly, it is the tool that has probably gotten my team at Thesis the most excited. And it is one of the things that, like, when sharing with clients, that like it just kind of like blows their mind when they first see it. So again, it's free for you to sign up. You should definitely check it out. And last, it would not be 2022 on the eve of 2023 if I would not mention ChatGPT or Jasper AI, all of these AI writing, text, copy enabled platforms. I don't know if it's my favorite tool, to be honest. I do find it to be really helpful to generate a first rough draft when I'm creating ad copy or when I'm creating a script or whatever. I know a lot of people are just like using these immediately and throwing them on ads or on primary text or on overlays. And I still find that like these tools need like a lot of humanizing, but I do think it's a space to watch. I actually made a tweet a few weeks ago that said that, you know, I think that AI in 2023 is going to be a really noisy space, but I do think that storytelling and content will suffer a little bit because of it, because I think that a lot of times copy and messaging and storytelling is something that people needed, especially for ad creative, as like, I just need to check it off, I just need to do it. And now that these like AI platforms can do it, I think that a lot of creators and a lot of editors aren't really going beyond that and like working to humanize it. I am very curious to hear what your thoughts are about like AI platforms and like how you're utilizing them, if you're utilizing them. I'm a little sus on it, but I also think that it's definitely going to be a long-term part of our industry. And I'm really interested to see how it plays out over time. And that's it. I will see you guys in 2023. Thanks. Cheers.